First time countdown number 2 story tonight. Worst persons in the world. The bronze to Fix News. The network changed the color of its on-screen logo to green, just like we did in CNN. Asked by the website TV Newser if they did it for the same environmental reasons, a Fox spokesman replied, no, it's a, quote, holiday logo. There you go, Billo. Even your own employers call it a holiday logo. Even your own employers won't buy into this "there's a war on Christmas" psychosis. Let's hear you call them secular progressives and demand that people come and protest at their offices. Our runner-up, Donald Rumsfeld's former special assistant, Larry Rita. This is part of the continuing effort to rewrite history. In this case, the history of the most famous pre-war criticism of the war in Iraq from the Pentagon by General Eric Shinseki, Obama's choice to run the Veterans Department. Rita has an op-ed in today's Washington Post insisting that Shinseki's opposition and the administration's revenge against him was, quote, one of the most enduring myths of the Bush presidency. Rita has decided because Shinseki only testified to the Senate that peace in a post-Saddam Iraq could only be maintained by several 100,000 American troops, he was not an opponent or critic of the war, and the Pentagon and the Bush administration did not retaliate against him. Right after Shinseki's testimony, then Deputy Secretary Paul Wolfowitz called Shinseki wildly off the mark. A month later, another Pentagon official said his testimony was BS from a Clintonite. And a week after that, another Pentagon source said Shinseki was in total eclipse, turned into a lame duck, castrated. But our winner, Glenn Beck of Fox Noise. To mix Jeff Foxworthy analogies, when you get beaten up intellectually by Joe the plumber, you may not be smarter than a 5th grader. Wurzelbacher on Beck's radio show protesting, quote, Hillary Clinton, the whole deal with her as far as becoming Secretary of State, you know, it's kind of against, well, it's not kind of, it's against the Constitution right now where it stands, but they're talking about getting around it. Now, who can argue with that? Gabby Johnson is right. J.T. Plummer was talking about the technical violation. Clinton was in the Senate when the Secretary of State's salary was increased, thus technically she is not eligible to become Secretary of State. This, though, is apparently news to Mr. Beck, who, desperate, scrambling, trying to keep his head above water, replied, quote, I will tell you this, in talking to one of my guys who's deep into the Constitution, he's saying that she can't have 2 offices. That's the problem. She can't occupy the 2 offices and then 2 different branches, but it's kind of iffy on that. It's not really clear. And if she gets rid of her office, then it should be fine, but she couldn't be a senator and Secretary of State. That's the real problem there. No, it's not. Nobody ever suggested she was going to hold both offices at once. What, Beck? Do you get your news from graffiti or the cover of a Matchbox? You are less well-informed than Joe the plumber. Glenn, the sun rises in the west, rises in the east. Beck, today's worst person in the world.